From Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, it's the rematch the Browns have long awaited. They've been waiting an entire year to get revenge against the Denver Broncos for losing the AFC Championship last season in Cleveland. Now the time is here. The Browns against the Broncos for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Bernie Kosar for the Browns, John Elway for the Broncos. The Browns' dog defense against Elway and company. It should be a tremendous matchup here in Denver, and the weather is ideal. 40 degrees and lots of sunshine today, and it should be a fast track. It'll be the Browns' bid again for an AFC Championship, something that's eluded them for the past 2 or 3 seasons. This time, they think it's their turn.
Bernie Kosar was a 1-year-old when the Browns last won the NFL championship. Cleveland has celebrated nothing but heartbreak since.
The ball on the 13-yard line of the Raiders, who lead 14-12.
The play came in, red right 88.
But with Cleveland needing only a field goal, the Browns appear to be in the driver's seat. Sipe is going back to pass, wants to take a shot into the end zone. He looks, he throws, and it's a great play that may have been intercepted, and the Cleveland Browns call the football once too often. Holy Toledo!
It was inexplicable to me that we didn't go for what could have been a chip shot.
In the 1985 divisional playoffs, Earnest Byner's 66-yard touchdown lifted the Browns to a 21-3 halftime lead over the top-seeded Dolphins.
Moreno gives the ball to Davenport, and he's got the first down and maybe more. He's going to go all the way.
Miami came back to win 24-21. Brian Brennan's acrobatic touchdown gave the Browns a 7-point lead in the 1986 AFC Championship with just over 5 minutes to play. Then came the drive.
And the Broncos are 98 yards away from where they need to go.
This was it. They were on their way to the Super Bowl, and then John Elway ruined the party.
42 seconds to go. Broncos at the Cleveland 5. Touchdown, Mark Jackson.
After the catch, for me, I could hear a pin drop.
Carlos's kick is on the way, and it is gone.
Just inches. That was the difference.
The Denver Broncos have come from behind to win it in overtime.
In the Super Bowl, the ball did not bounce the Broncos' way as the Giants captured a 39-20 rout. Denver, still without a championship, had suffered its second humiliating Super Bowl defeat. Dallas outdistanced Denver 27-10 in Super Bowl 12. In 1987, the Broncos and the Browns play again for a Super Bowl berth, this time at Mile High. Coming up next, the opening kickoff.
For now. Let's get at this. Get some field position right here. Let's go, D.
Cleveland will start from the noisier end of the field. The AFC Championship is underway. It spins to McNeil at the goal line. Dropped at the 12-yard line. Tony Bodie made the tackle. Bernie Kosar, only 24 years of age, the quarterback. Earnest, Byner, and Kevin Mack will be the running threats. Reggie Langhorne is the fastest of the Browns. Webster Slaughter, perhaps the most dangerous. Ozzie Newsome, many times a Pro Bowler, a tight end. Simon Fletcher with the sack at the 4. No fumble. He was down.
You have the feeling and the intensity of this huge crowd. And, of course, Cleveland is back in the horseshoe end of this stadium. That's where it is noisiest.
I remember, too, the crowd. I mean, the home field advantage never, I think, was more evident than in that ball game up there.
The place was actually shaking. The whole stadium was shaking, and it was so noisy inside that stadium that it actually hurt your ears.
Second and 19. Ernest Byner to the 10, maybe the 11. Byner from East Carolina. He's the heart of that Cleveland offense behind Kozar and highly regarded by his coaches and players. In fact, Byner, according to Marty Schottenheimer, he said after Kozar, he's the last man I would trade. Third and a dozen. Over the middle, incomplete, intercepted. It's intercepted on the juggle. Freddie Gilbert, number 90.
That was a first down. I mean, it was a great call. Webster executed. He just didn't make the catch on the play, and it ended up being an interception.
Watch this ball. Bouncing right off the hands there. Juggled once by Dennis Smith, and Lilly comes up with it. Gilbert comes up with it. They've got the shot from the 17-yard line.
From the 18. Sammy Winder. Underrated but solid. Felix Wright, 22, the tackler. Let's look at the Denver Bronco offense. Elway with Winder and Lang. Natil for the injured Vance Johnson. He's in the hospital. That groin injury suffered last week, hemorrhaged. Mark Jackson, Clarence Kay, the tight end, caught 2 touchdowns against Houston. Studdard, Bishop, a Pro Bowler, Freeman, Humphreys, and Lanier are the offensive lines. Winder hit hard, but close to a first down. He has the first down at about the 6-yard line. It was Felix Wright again, the safety man. With Sewell in motion. He throws wide open, touchdown, Ricky Natil.
Ricky Natil had a great game. I mean, here's a rookie that's in a championship game that steps up and makes some huge plays. You can't ask for much more from a rookie, and lose a guy like Vance Johnson.
When Vance went down against Houston, I think it was a late hit. Guy comes falling on him and ruptured a vein in his inner thigh, which actually could have killed him. I found out later when we started the game against Cleveland for the AFC Championship. Ricky and I have 82 on our towels, and my only advice to Ricky was, here's your opportunity. You know what you can do.
Look at this great offensive protection. Elway patiently waits, a little fake or look away, and now.
The Browns countered with bruising runs by fullback Kevin Mack. Bernie Kosar followed with a finesse passing game, arcing his first completion to Earnest Byner. Then came 3rd and 1 from the Denver 45.
This time it's Kevin Mack. Fumbles. And Denver says they have it. They do.
Well, after we had the 2 early turnovers, I think we were in shock, and we thought, what's happening? Is this a curse against us? What are we going to do? I mean, we just can't seem to control ourselves and handle our business against the Broncos.
That was just a normal thing, I think, and that was reflective in the number of takeaways that we had during the year. That was just a part of what we did all the time in practice. Coach Collier always was looking for turnovers.
Dick Cowell, similar to the beginning of last week's game against Houston. Houston drove down the field only to turn the ball over down near the goal line. Here we see the drive. Cleveland driving the football, and out in the middle of the field, Lilly strips it away, and Denver recovers.
Well, the Broncos have their second turnover midway through this first quarter. For a bundle, gets away. Those eyes in the back of his helmet to the 48-yard line. 7 minutes left in the first quarter, and Denver looking to add to the 7-0 lead. Gene Lang. To the 10-yard line.
Denver usually throwing the football to get this kind of gains, but what a great play by Gene Lang. Explodes into the secondary, downfield before they get him out of bounds, and Denver threatening again.
They did not have a run that long all year. 29, the longest from the regular season. 42 for Lang. The draw, the Winder, and he's inside the 5.
I actually don't know why they were able to move the ball as well as they did on the ground. We practiced well. I thought we were prepared. I thought everybody was ready to go, and for whatever reason, we just couldn't gel and come together and do something we'd done all season.
They had the ability, I think, through the threat of the pass, which we probably, in retrospect, focused on more than their running game. But they had the ability to run the ball effectively.
Gene Lane steps up, makes a couple really big plays. Sammy Winder was, we called him the mud man, but he was Mr. Consistency, and we just pounded it out.
At the goal line, the drive stalled. On second down, Elway fumbled the snap. The ball landed just past the Browns' outstretched hands. Elway pounced on it, setting up third and goal.
Jackson in motion. Elway over the middle, incomplete. So for the Cleveland Browns, a moral victory. Flag is down, and it may be a motion penalty against Denver. No, holding against Cleveland.
Minifield, he played very physical, and he played physical all the time. And for a referee to call something like that, just bumping around in the end zone, we felt like, what else do we have to overcome to win this game?
Reverse Sewell, no one there for Cleveland.
A very emotional Cleveland defense moving quickly to try and shut off the run to the right. And Sewell all alone going back to the left.
Carlist for the extra point. The Kubiaks hold. It's 14-0. McNeil coming up to the 12. At the 30-yard line.
We're down 14-0, but we were moving the football early on these guys. We were making plays.
Kozar down the middle to Ozzie Newsome, and the veteran tight end has a first down at the Denver 45. Dennis Smith made the tackle, 25 yards on the play.
Ozzie Newsome invading the territory patrolled by Dennis Smith, 49. You see how much room he had there as Smith late in arriving to make that tackle.
Bolstered by Newsome's 25-yard reception, the Browns marched downfield. But at the Denver 38, the Browns needed another big gainer to keep the drive alive.
3rd and 17. Down the middle, he has a man, and it's Clarence Weathers, first down at the 19. There's a defensive line for Denver, front three, and their linebackers, Fletcher, Mecklenburg, a star, Hunley, and Ryan. And the secondary, Dennis Smith, number 49, for the injured Harden, with Haynes and Wilson at the corners, Lilly the other safety man. Just inside the Denver 20, final minute, first quarter, 14-0 Broncos. Earnest Byner, nothing there. Andre Townsend again. 15 minutes gone, Denver in early control. Now down in the noisy end of the stadium. 2nd and 10. Into the flat, but nothing much there for Ozzie Newsome. Give him 2. Mark Haynes, the cover man. Gilbert applying pressure on Kozar, who's sidearmed for 2 yards. Down the middle, incomplete. Flag down. Langhorne, the intended receiver. Mark Haynes on the cover. But a flag is down on the near side.
In an area that we would expect to see either a holding call or an illegal bump call.
That's it. That'll give the Browns a first down. First down. Got through a tackle by Roland Jones and edged inside the 10. A gain of 5 or 6. 2nd and 5 from the 8. Matt trying to make amends. Gets only a couple. Kozar having trouble hearing, and Jim Tunney, this is an official's timeout.
On the goal line, going in, the best way to quiet a crowd is to score. That south stands down there is nuts. That you can't quiet them down. That's like trying to quiet down the dog pound in Cleveland.
Byner is open in the flat, but can't make the catch.
He'll just sidearm this ball out to Byner, but Byner feels the pressure. He knows he's going to get the hit. Byner did not handle the pass, and he's mad at himself. He is a very reliable receiver, but that one went through his hand.
A 29-yard attempt by Matt Barr. And Cleveland erases the 0 on their side of the scoreboard. And with 13 minutes left in the first half, it's 14-3 for the home team.
Cleveland was the underdog, and they played like it. It was a very nervous first half, and their possessions were sloppy.
I know Dan was thinking, let's just control the ball, run some short dink routes, and you know, he was pretty sure that we could win the game with that strategy.
Denver's methodical offensive attack continued to overwhelm and frustrate a reeling Browns defense.
Down and 4. Elway on a draw. Be special. First down at the 46, and there goes the flag. Late hit. Chris Rockins came in late, number 37.
They're going to have to restrain Clarence Kay, who is furious, and rightfully so. No reason in the world to come up and take that kind of late shot. And I think maybe one reason these Denver players are so angry is because Vance Johnson was put out of the game, this game and last week's game, with that kind of late shot.
And he went right for the head of Elway, and that'll cost Cleveland 15. Again, shotgun on first down. Wide open underneath is Natil. He can fly. First down at the 25.
Natil coming all the way across underneath, able to get open underneath the zones for Cleveland on that last play.
Winder on a delay, did not fool Cleveland. Clay Matthews, Pro Bowler again this year, #1 pick out of Southern California, there to make the stop.
Dick, I'm amazed at how well this Denver Bronco team has been able to run the ball against that Bear defense.
Elway, and he slides down at the 21. That'll be 5 or 6 yards shy of a first down.
Every time they seem to get Denver stopped, there goes Elway, either scrambling away, getting extra time, or simply running with the football. And I think in looking back at this game, maybe the most important difference between these two teams was Elway's scrambling ability.
Natil to the 1-yard line. That far from another touchdown. And the touchdown for Gene Lang. That caps an impressive 80-yard drive by the Broncos.
We mentioned the Cleveland Browns wanted Denver to come inside and play the physical game. They have, and they're doing a pretty fine job of it.
Leading not just by exhortation, but by example. Rulon Jones's sack did indeed force Cleveland into a 3-and-out. Meanwhile, the Browns defense was seemingly unable to contain the slippery Elway. After 3 consecutive incompletions, Rich Carlos's field goal try missed badly to the left. Led by the brilliant running of Mack, the Browns willed their way back into Denver territory. Then, once again, self-destructed. First, Webster Slaughter was flagged for a 15-yard personal foul. On the next play, Tony Robbins and Jeremiah Castile combined to knock the ball free from Brian Brennan resulting in the Browns' third turnover. Following the 2-minute warning, Cleveland's defense finally responded, twice sacking Elway and forcing the Broncos' first punt. Kosar took over with 38 seconds left in the half. After completing a 24-yard pass to Webster Slaughter, the Browns had enough time for a field goal attempt. Matt Barr's 45-yard kick was wide right.
One of the things that really strikes me about this football game is how horribly things had gone for Cleveland in that first half. And yet, they didn't give up.
We get in at halftime. Lindy Infante was our offensive coordinator. He said, we're down 21-3, but he made a profound statement to us. He said, we're going to play this game like it's 14-7. We're not going to come out, get into a 2-minute offense, and just, throw it every play.
We don't need to do anything extraordinary. Let's just go play. Stop and sort it out like it was when we practiced it all week. The mind has to be clear so that we can execute. So clear your minds. Think about the way we worked it in practice this week. We don't have to be spectacular.
It's really tough, especially on the road, to turn the momentum around. So going in at halftime, we really felt like we had them right where we wanted them.
Johnson lines it to Bell. Looked like an outfielder and returns to the 25-yard line. Winder on first down. Couple of yards, Sam Clancy and Reggie Camp, 96th. Elway on 2nd and 9. Sewell in motion, the all-purpose back. Elway's going to throw to him, and he's hit hard at the 27.
We have a penalty flag on the far side of the field, and I believe they're going to call that one back.
Holding 23 offense.
To the shotgun goes Elway at his own 16. Center screen to Winder. Down at the 24-yard line.
Jumping now, Mike, they're flat.
3rd and 11 for Elway. There's that Tarkington roll. And then the throw downfield, intercepted. Felix Wright.
The number one thing we said we needed to do was to get some pressure on Elway, because he sometimes would make bad decisions when he started scrambling around, because he's a true competitor and he wanted to win, and sometimes he tried to do more than the play would allow.
Elway makes a very dumb throw, makes a mistake. Had not made mistakes in the first half. He made a dumb mistake, and Cleveland suddenly had hope.
It raised our spirits because we realized, okay, finally something's gone in our favor.
So Bernie Kosar and Cleveland set up at the Denver 35. To the 22-yard line. On first down, it's Byner this time. Can't get outside, and there was Andre Townsend again.
Right now, Kosar going into the noisy end of the stadium.
6 seconds on the 30-second clock. 4, 3, 2. Throwing for Langhorne, touchdown. Reggie Langhorne. The Browns have capitalized.
When they got that touchdown pass, then maybe a little bit of doubt entered into our minds, because going up to that point, we felt like they weren't going to score.
So now the game changes. Now, instead of being down 18, you're down 11 with a quarter and 3/4 still to go.
I don't know what it was that Kosar saw, but I believe he was calling an audible the minute he lined up and came out to the line of scrimmage. Under great pressure with the dog, drops that ball to Langhorne in front of Dennis Smith.
18-yard touchdown for the Browns. Johnson hits it high and deep. Ken Bell will not run it out. So from the 20, Elway starts out in the shotgun, first down. Right on the money. Mark Jackson, one of the 5'9" amigos. Double tight end with Kay on the right side and Mobley now in motion from the right side. As the Rams blocker, but it doesn't work that time as Reggie Camp submarining with help. 3rd and inches. Elway will often sneak in this situation. Not this time. Easily for Lang, but a flag goes down right in the center of the pile, and the Browns say they saw a hold. Let's see if that's what the officials call.
Holding, offense, number 62.
So 3rd and 10.5. Elway runs into his own man and finally throws it complete to Jackson, who gets a first down and more. He may go all the way. Touchdown.
You're on the field, and all you're thinking is, this daggone Elway.
You're saying to yourself, this guy is a pain in the neck.
John had done it so many times that year, the year before, ever since he's been there, where you sit there and you say, oh my goodness, we're getting ready to get sacked, and then he jumps around and actually ran into one of his own players on that particular play and still hits Mark Jackson. Then Mark makes a great run.
Mark Harper misses the tackle, then I see a safety, Felix Wright. I just knew if I could make a move on Felix, I didn't see anything. And put a little stutter step on him, and he fell for it. I took off, and I'm sprinting down the sideline, and all I see is the end zone, and all I'm thinking about is the glory that's going to come to me. People on the sideline, when I look back at it, are like they're at a horse race, and they're like waving you in. Come on, man, make it, make it, make it. Well, I think a horse, a gorilla, a monkey, and about 3 orangutans jump on my back at about the 15-yard line, and my butt starts to tighten up and everything. And I take a look back to see if there's anybody following me, and I'm thinking, why is this guy chasing me? Let me go in the end zone. And he makes a dive right at the end there as I fall into the end zone. So, needless to say, totally out of gas.
He barely gets it in the end zone, but if you look at the play, he started in motion, went across the field, came all the way back across the field, turned and went upfield. Saw John scrambling, came back for him, and ended up going 80 yards. So he probably ran about 120, 130 yards on that particular play, and Mark did a great job of getting that ball in the end zone.
The longest touchdown play in postseason history.
Messed up. I just playing, man. I play him, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading him. I'm looking for that deep dig over there on my side. And he didn't look my side, just playing the ball.
Kevin Mack, that inside game. Mack and Byner, 2 north-south runners. He gets 5. Mack again for only a yard. Jim Ryan and Ricky Hundley collaborate. 28-10, Denver leads. 8 minutes left, 3rd quarter. Byner complete at the 37. Rick Dennison made the tackle. Kozar wide open is Langhorne, and the saving tackle by Dennis Smith. 7 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Kozar to Byner. Well thrown. Earnest Byner. Touchdown.
Bernie Kosar was interesting right off the bat. Tall, gangly. I mean, he still looked like a little kid, even in his 3rd and 4th year in the NFL. Not great mobility. In fact, absolutely awkward at times. Had to develop a style where he had one foot back so he could get away from the center more quickly because he was getting run over by his own lineman.
Byner caught the touchdown pass. We had supposed to be a 3-deep zone. We had a couple guys playing 2-deep zone. We were supposed to have 4 guys pass rushing. We only had 3 guys pass rushing. It was really a mental problem on our part.
Kosar has a brilliant mind, and he knew how to use that mind to effectively help his team in all kinds of situations.
Was that a touch play by Kosar? We've seen the power game of Elway. That's just like a little easy free throw that he tossed up there and led Byner perfectly.
When Kosar sees you making a mistake, he's going to jump all over. And that was a great pass. That was a a real good over-the-shoulder catch for a running back to make.
Earnest had such great hands. His hands are enormous, large hands. Bernie and he had really a great synergy, if you will, in their ability to kind of anticipate where Earnest was going to be.
I think the players were at a point saying, hey, we can't let up because of Earnest Byner. Number one, the kind of player that he was and what he was capable of doing. But we did.
Trailing 28-17 midway through the third quarter, the Browns kicked off. Ken Bell's muff pinned the Broncos inside their own 10. The Browns forced Denver into a 3-and-out. Following Gerald McNeil's return, Cleveland took possession at the Broncos' 42. Unexpectedly, the game had turned.
Cleveland has it at the 42. Dumps it on the screen to Mack, and good blocking. And Mack has about 10. Cragen, the nose tackle from behind.
In the Cleveland scheme of things, that is really a running play rather than a pass. They do not run the ball with a sweep very often.
Ozar looking for Slaughter. And a juggling catch at the 10-yard line. They say he stepped out at the 12. First down. Boy, that ball was hanging out there, though, very close to an interception going the other way by Wilson. And suddenly Cleveland threatening to make this a battle. Mack. Boy, the way he runs, you'd almost think he was named after the truck. 8 more yards. 2nd and 2 at the 4. Earnest Byner, touchdown Cleveland. Byner's 2nd score of this 3rd quarter.
When it got to 28-24, we were scrambling. We were making mistakes we normally don't make. We really, I think in some ways, we're panicking.
Browns have come roaring back, and you've got to sense the kind of confidence it takes from that far back not to lose your enthusiasm, to have the kind of courage to put it back in the end zone and get back into this game.
We get set for the kickoff. The Browns have scored 21 points in this 3rd quarter. The Broncos regulars in the season gave up 21 points or more only 3 times in a game. With under 19 minutes left in the game, a 4-point contest. Winder flagged down as Winder picks up 10, maybe a face mask.
Take a quick peek at it. Sims playing for the injured Dave Pazzulli. You see him reaching in, getting whatever he could to try and get the tackle, get it stopped. But those penalties are very costly.
Quick toss, Lang. Read well by Mike Johnson. Mobley in motion, shotgun. Wide open is Mark Jackson. Breaks another tackle. And finally is out of bounds at the Cleveland 40-yard line. He's got that spin move down pat.
Jackson put a great move on Hanford Dixon. Missed tackle right there. And I'll tell you, that has been costly for these Browns today. That's that fast break football we talked about. Big play offense for the Broncos.
First down. Byner protecting the ball for 3. Lucius Sanford. Number 50 with a tackle. In shotgun on early downs. Ellis on a blitz. They pick it up. Mobley. The giant tight end with a first down, leading to the 29. He's hurt. So is the Cleveland tackler, Harper. inside is a mismatch. Harper's 174 pounds, and Mobley's about 274.
I really believe this is one of the most physical football games I've ever seen. I don't remember a game in which you saw more players being carried or helped to the sideline.
Down to the 1-minute mark, third quarter. First down inside the 30 for Elway. Underneath, and Natil can't hang on. Elway going for Natil. Out of the field of play, not a catchable ball, and Minifield really had the inside shut off. 3rd and 10 for Elway.
Big play for this Cleveland defense and for Elway.
Goes to the ground to Bodie, trying to cross him up, and he almost made it. 9 yards for Bodie on the draw to the shotgun.
Now Dan Reeves
sends in the field goal team. That would, if successful, give him a 7-point lead. 38-yard attempt by Carlos. Straight. Denver leads 31-24. McNeil, the only deep man for Cleveland, as Carlos kicks it off. Final seconds, third quarter. McNeil's going to return this one, I believe. Smothered at the 13. Mitch Andrews downfield, and Bruce Klosterman at the end of the third quarter. They start from the 13, a 7-point game. Screen to Mack, and Haynes was able to get through a blocker and trip him up. Newsom knocked away, no flag. Simon Fletcher did a whale of a job, number 73. 3rd down and 4. Down the middle, Byner's open. Earnest Byner with Lilly to beat. And Lilly finally wrestles him down at the 27-yard line.
Interesting to see the total difference in the styles of Kosar and Elway. Elway, the power pitcher, I mean, he's throwing it right through guys. Kosar's shot putting the ball. He's flipping it out with one hand, side-arming it.
We started to appreciate how good Bernie Kosar was in that second half. And not the powerful threat to run as Elway did, or the great long arm, but so very accurate in his passes.
And Kosar and Byner, the men that Schottenheimer penciled in as his top 2 players. He said those are the last 2 guys I'd ever lose in a trade, and they collaborate again for a big Cleveland play.
The other thing he said, when the going gets tough, we want the ball in the hands of Earnest Byner.
Ernest was a great player, and he got open, gets down, got down the seam, and makes some plays against us, and that's the kind of plays great big game players make.
27 yards away from a tying touchdown, the Cleveland Browns. Newsom inside the 20. 2nd and 2. A half-yard. Kosar 10 for 10 in the second half. Looks at 3rd and 2, a long 2. Mack. What an effort by Kevin Mack to the 5-yard line. Oh, my. 14 tough yards. It's 1st and goal at the 5. of Fontenot in the end zone. Well covered by Haynes.
Substitutions onto the field as we watch Kosar unloading that ball at the last second.
Yeah, that was a great throw.
Well, I'll tell you, it's right there where only Fontenot had the chance at the football. 3rd and goal. 4 wide receivers.
Underneath to Slaughter for a touchdown.
We're in the red zone, and I'm lined up in bump, man bump. Our whole game plan that day was to force the Cleveland receivers to our safeties. As I'm sitting there in man bump, Webster Slaughter gives me a little move at the line, and he goes inside. I'm saying, hey, great, he's going to my safety. Kosar, and the passer that he is, great passer that he is, boy, he's able to pinpoint the pass and get it between Dennis Smith and myself.
Kosar perhaps answering, what can we do to answer the drive of last year that kept us from going to the Super Bowl? We got to put a few drives together of our own.
An 87-yard drive. This to tie it. 31 apiece.
Let's go to work, buddy. Shake it off. Let's go. Think we can't play? Hey, this is our game, baby. Take it right now.
Well, this one had all the promise, Merlin Olsen, of being a classic matchup. The two best teams of the AFC, Dan Reeves Broncos and the Schottenheimer coach Browns, Elway of the Broncos against Kosar. And yet it started not that way. All Denver, 21-3, and it wasn't that close in the first half. And suddenly it has gone Cleveland's direction, and the Browns tie it.
Mo's on our side. You know, right now we're hot. The defense is starting to click to do some things.
We had been a real strong defensive team all year long, and we weren't used to that. It was worrisome.
We stop him one time, we'll go ahead.
Looking for Sewell, instead goes to Mark Jackson, and he has a first down at the 42 as Denver's Elway trying to answer Cleveland's Kosar. Byner slamming forward near midfield. Barring overtime, we're 9 minutes and 38 seconds from San Diego. Sewell straightened by David Grayson, a rookie at linebacker from Fresno State, number 56. 3rd down and a short 3. Quarterback draw doesn't work. Stopped at the 49, a yard short. And the man who made the play is the man who is playing in the 3rd string position at nose tackle, Darrell Sims. Bob Golick, the Pro Bowler, hurt. His replacement today, Pazzulli, injured, and here's Sims.
And Dan Reeves has sent his offensive team back onto the field at 4th and 1, and just inside of Cleveland territory, he's going to take a most interesting gamble.
We were really just going to let the clock run down and then, punt the football, from 5 yards deeper. At that particular point, it really doesn't hurt you. But Cleveland did call a timeout, which became critical at the end.
Cleveland called a time. They thought a fake was in the works, and now here's that pooch punt by Elway off the side of his foot.
Not a good one. It's coming back
to the 32-yard line.
You eliminate the possibility of a return if you, have John Elway punt it, and John does a great job. If you get it down inside the 20, you've kind of pinned them back. Unfortunately, the ball bounced back.
We were sitting there. I think most guys on defense, when John dropped back to kick the ball, that little pooch punt, man, we was like, oh no, what are we doing? We need a regular punter in there. This is not what we were writing in the script for the game.
And Kosar hitting Kevin Mack over the middle out to the 37-yard line with 8 minutes remaining in the game.
How many teams could survive the confidence breaks that this Cleveland Brown team had in the first half?
2nd and 5. Kosar going for a bundle, and he's got Slaughter in the clear and overshoots him. Steve Wilson had Slaughter slipping behind him.
Kosar, no lack of arm strength there. That ball in the air about 50, 55 yards. Third down, 5 yards to go.
Brian Brennan, first down at the 45. Brennan was responsible for one of the turnovers of the first half as he fumbled after a reception. Little guy from Boston College who idolizes Steve Largent.
Good pass again by Kosar. Dick, I was watching Larry Williams on that play. A badly sprained ankle. He's in there. Ricosi has moved to center. Boy, I tell you, they're playing their hearts out on that Cleveland offensive line.
Mack cut off by Jim Ryan. Good play by Ryan. The smallest of the linebackers of the Denver Broncos. They list him at 218.
The blitz is on.
And the long pass downfield is knocked away brilliantly by Haynes. Brennan had touchdown written on that one as he had slipped deep. But Mark Haynes saves it for Denver.
Some confusion there as Webster Slaughter brought his man right into the end of that play. Unusual to see two receivers in this Cleveland offense bumping together as you look from the reverse angle.
We had a pretty complicated defense. We did many, many different things. It was much more mental than physical in a lot of ways. And when you make a mental error in that type of a defense, you're in big trouble. So we were trying to calm each other down and say, hey, we stopped them all first half. You know, we can stop them now. This is when it really counts. Whatever's going on before doesn't matter. Let's stop them now.
Fourth quarter, 31 all. Third and 11. Byner on the sidelines.
Oh, great hands.
But well short of a first down at the 47.
Byner lost his feet on the sideline, still able to catch that ball, but not able to pick up the first down. And Denver's defense rising to the occasion here.
Lee Johnson, who has kicked well today, although not so well since being acquired from Houston. End over end and short.
Not a good kick.
Clark went out of bounds at the 23-yard line. 5 minutes and 14 seconds. Does that sound familiar? Wasn't it about that time last year in Cleveland when Elway and Denver started on there too?
I mean, it's a new ball game now. You know, we got to go out and find a way to win it. You know, everything that you'd fought for up to that point, now it's, you know, just starting over again. And we're at home, and we feel good. You know, we feel good about being in Mile High Stadium. You know, the crowd is behind you, and you got John Elway, and anything's possible. You know, when you got John.
Teal at midfield.
What a great pattern and what a great throw. Boy, that's a great play. Again, credit to the offensive line of these Broncos who gave Elway the time to get that ball downfield.
Winder meets Sam Clancy and company. Going deep for Natil. Felix Wright, the deep man. Ball overthrown by the strong-armed Elway. We need 7 for a first down. Natil will get more net to the 21-yard line.
Well, that ball, you couldn't take it out there and hand it any better to Natil.
They spotted at the 20-yard line with 4 minutes and 12 seconds left. Swing to Winder. Touchdown!
All I remember about that touchdown was maybe we scored too quickly.
Just a little screen for Sammy Winder. You let the defensive lineman go through. Winder hides momentarily. And now Winder missed tackle there, a second missed tackle. Minifield, the second man to miss him. This Cleveland defense has been hurt badly by missed tackle. There's a little mud walk right there.
The Duke has delivered, and it'll be Bernie Kosar with 4 minutes left to get his chance.
When we go out on the field, we're down by 7. We've been down by 18. We had been down by 11. So we're only down by 7. But they haven't stopped us all game. We had their defense on their heels. We feel like we had momentum on our side. We was in rhythm. We were on a roll, so we felt like we could go down and get another touchdown.
We had to stop them. We knew going it, and we didn't want to go overtime.
Please, Bernie, make it happen.
Well, when you're a kid and you grow up some 70 miles from Cleveland as a Browns fan, you dream about certain opportunities. We all did it in our youth. Put ourselves in the position of our heroes. Bernie Kosar grew up a Cleveland Brown fan. Now it's his turn to rally Cleveland. Up the middle, Byner. And he has 20, I think that's 16 yards on a blast that opened quickly.
Cleveland continues to mix their plays well, in particular here in the second half. And we talked about rhythm. We talked about getting things hammering. They still want to play that physical game. Byner, a physical money player. They took advantage of him there and got it outside of their own 40 and moving in.
On the ground again to Byner. A grand climax to the American Football Conference season. 30-second clock at 4. Kosar underneath to Brennan. Bucks in with a first down at the 44 of Denver. 14 yards on the play.
What an alert play by Marty Schottenheimer. He counted the number of players out there, waved off Evan Mack. Brennan doing a good job working there on Dennis Smith. The same matchup that scored their touchdown to tie that game last year.
2 minutes and 10 seconds. Kosar to Brennan again. To the 24-yard line at the 2-minute timeout. The Cleveland Browns are 24 yards away from tying it again in Denver.
You had to reflect back on the year before, because just as Denver had stolen the game in the final quarter with that 1st and 98 drive, now it was the Browns in the second half that seemed to have all the momentum.
You don't think history is going to repeat itself, but this game was beginning to have overtime written all over it.
And late in that game, we looked at each other, and I think with the same expression that payback time. Isn't this world of the National Football League a wonderful place? That as disappointed as those fans were in Cleveland and the players and coaches, now Marty Schottenheimer and the Browns were going to turn the tables, and they then, with all this momentum, were going to be the winner in a possible overtime.
It didn't look good, honestly.
I mean, they were like a machine rolling down the field. And when you're standing there watching that, and you're watching these guys just perform perfectly, it gives you some hope that, okay, we can do this. We're going to win this game. We're going to tie it up, and then ultimately we're going to win it.
Before the snap, the charge by Andre Townsend. He was called earlier.
Encroachment, defense,
and
number
gets his
61,
second 5-yard penalty. Byner. And appears to have a first down or close to, as Dennison and Smith make the tackle at the 13-yard line. 38-31 Denver. To Byner. Oh, he was lucky he didn't collide with that upright of the goalpost.
Again, a very accurate pass, and we mentioned Byner's abilities as both catcher and blocker and runner. You've seen that today. Look how well thrown this pass is. Well, he would have been out. He would have been out of that end zone.
2nd and 10.
Offsides Denver.
Incomplete, intended for Langhorne. In essence, a free down for Kozar.
Boy, you don't want to make a mistake in that kind of critical situation. But this Denver defense traditionally makes so many big plays in critical conditions and down near their own goal line. These are the toughest yards in football right here.
There was never any doubt in my mind that we should give the ball to Earnest Byner. He was the reason we were still alive at that point.
I can tell you, number one, what we were thinking is turnover. Let's get the ball back.
Draw to Byner. Ernest Byner.
Fumble.
Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh, my. Or have they? Let's wait for the official to unpile them.
There's a war going on under that stack.
There it is. Denver's ball at the 2-yard line. Byner had the first and goal and lost the ball.
I was in a very disadvantageous position. I was sitting in the visiting owner's box next to the press box in an old mile-high stadium. And through some idiotic design, we had to look through 3 windows, and everything was almost distorted. I saw a scramble. I had no idea what it was until I saw the Denver players jumping up in sheer exhilaration. I knew something went wrong.
As he took that handoff, and the collision was made with Castile, I know my call was hesitant because I thought Byner was going in for the touchdown. Had he not hesitated at the goal line, that's when I stopped. I was about to say, Byner, touchdown. Oh, my, 38-38. What a game this is. Instead, there was this silence for a fraction of a second. Byner frozen, and then you realize that he had fumbled the ball. I didn't see the ball come out.
Unfortunately, it was what Earnest didn't see that created the problem for us. You know, obviously the disappointment when it came out and they got the ball, but the way the play unfolded, the wide receiver was responsible for the corner. If playing bump and run on you, then you release outside, he'll cover you, and you just run up in the corner of the end zone.
Right at the last minute, I decide, hey, I got beat last time bumping this guy. I said to myself, well, why don't I back off so that I can get a real good picture of everything as it's happening.
Well, what happened to the receiver is he wanted to watch the play. He took one step outside. Castile turned around when the receiver stopped to see what was going on, and he then saw the ball being run by Earnest.
By backing off and getting about 6-7 yards off of him, when the draw play happened, I could see it, see the play develop, and it gave me a chance to beat Webster Slaughter and keep him from getting a chance to block me and come up and get in position. And as I'm approaching Byner, I'm sitting there thinking, how do I want to try to tackle him? Well, the entire second half, he's pretty much run over everybody on our defense. And I said, no, that's not going to do any good. If I try to come up and tackle this guy, he's just going to run me over and go into the end zone. Best thing for me to try to do is strip the ball.
Earnest Byner never saw him coming.
Jeremiah Castile, number 28, reaching in to strip that ball away. This Denver defense trained to reach at that football, to try to force those turnovers. They led the AFC this year in turnovers, tearing the heart out of Cleveland's offense.
Byner, who had picked up the first down, had ball out away from his body, and Castile, a reject from Tampa Bay, acquired on waivers by the Broncos, not only stripped it, but recovered it in the biggest play of his football life.
The recovery is made by the Broncos where? On the 2-yard line. And wasn't it just a year ago that the Broncos had the ball on the 2-yard line, and that led to the victory?
The year before with the drive, the drive basically tied the game up. We still had life. As soon as that fumble occurred, it was over.
And now, much to the chagrin of Byner and the Browns and their fans, this golden moment was just struck down by a defensive back that nobody wanted earlier in the year, Jeremiah Castile. The standing line in Denver was he hasn't made a tackle in the NFL for 3 years, and then he's the one who knocks the ball free in the biggest forced fumble of his career and maybe in Denver history.
Kozar did everything right. He got the ball to the man that they want to have it, as we talked about during the course of this day. Earnest Byner, 2 cities football crazed. And how unkind it is for the fans of Cleveland again.
I know nobody felt as bad about that as Earnest did. You know, he felt like he had let us down, the city down, the team down.
I can't even describe the depth of the pain that was in his eyes.
But a low moment. I mean, how difficult it must be in the great arena, television and 80,000 people nearly watching you in person, to have the opportunity to be the star. And he was the star in that game. He was the man that Kozar went to, caught 7 passes and led the team in rushing that day. And had that just ripped away from you.
There's not a more competitive player who cares about his performance, who cares whether or not you win or lose, even above his own personal accolades, than Earnest Byner. And his performance that day kept us in the game. And then, unfortunately, an error takes us out of it.
In the game's final moments, Denver's Mike Horan sacrifices an intentional safety, giving Kozar time for one last gasp. But just like Byner on the drive before, he comes up painfully short. The Broncos celebrate their 38-33 escape and second consecutive AFC Championship. The Browns are once again left to ponder how close they came.
I felt very sorry for Earnest Byner. He's a wonderful young man. You couldn't console him, couldn't comfort him in the dressing room. But I took him in my arms and I said, listen, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even be here. Yeah, but it just wasn't meant to be.
A lot of people tried to blame Earnest. And thankfully, the people around him, that we wouldn't do it. I mean, there's no blame. There's no way you can blame one guy.
It's one of the tragic events of games, lots of games, that it comes down to one play, and yet this should not have been that way. One play should not change the outcome of a game, but this one was so obvious and so open that it came to characterize the game. I mean, it's the fumble.
I actually cried on the airplane. You know, I talked big in front of the media about not crying. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to handle this like a man. But on the airplane, I let go because it hurt bad. It really hurt. I feel like I let everybody down.
2 weeks later, unknown running back Timmy Smith gained a Super Bowl record 204 rushing yards as the Redskins drubbed the Broncos 42-10. 2 years later, the Broncos again beat the Browns in the AFC Championship 37-21. And once more, the Broncos were trounced in the Super Bowl, this time by the 49ers 55-10, the most lopsided defeat in Super Bowl history. As for Byner, he was traded to Washington after the 1988 season. He was the starting halfback in Super Bowl 26 and scored Washington's first touchdown. The Redskins won 37-24. He even enjoyed a second go-around with the Browns in 1994 and 1995. He ended his 14-year NFL career with the Baltimore Ravens in 1997. He left as the NFL's 16th all-time leading rusher. Yet, he will be best remembered for what happened on the 2-yard line on that fateful day in Denver.
That's what happens in sports. You remember for the one glaring mistake, not your accomplishments. You talk about Earnest Byner, you talk about the fumble.
I'm guilty of the same thing everyone else is when they look at Earnest Byner's career or even that game. It's like, how could he fumble right then? But I reviewed the film before this interview, and I looked at it, and he made big plays. He probably made 6 or 7 big plays that put him in position to have a chance to tie the thing at the end. So when I think about his career, I'm going to try not and think about that fumble, because that was a great play by Jeremiah is what that was.
And for Byner, the man, I suspect that he still lives with it all and can't stand the fact that he might meet any stranger anytime. And when his name is announced or introduced right away, that person says, oh, yeah, 87, Denver, the fumble. How very difficult that must be.